This laptop has the best screen for gaming that I've ever seen. It's MSI's GE67HX, and it's using a 1440p 240Hz OLED screen. It's the super low 0.6 millisecond average gray-to-gray response time that makes it special, putting it a fair bit faster compared to all other gaming laptops I've tested. Realistically, this is only going to be important for competitive esports players, but the screen does still look nice and crisp. As is always the case with OLED panels, you get super deep blacks, crazy contrast, and excellent color gamut. This one doesn't quite get as bright as other OLEDs I've tested in the past, which were closer to 500 nits. But those other ones are also only 60 Hz, so that's the trade-off. But honestly, 360 nits is still decent. Of course, there's always the argument against OLED of screen burn-in, which is always going to be a possibility that just comes with this technology. Unfortunately, I'm not able to really comment on it right now, as I've only had this laptop for a couple of weeks so far, and that type of thing usually takes much longer to develop, but it's certainly something to be aware of. MSI's FAQ page seems to indicate that they've got some OLED-specific software settings to help reduce this, but my laptop did not have this or the option to install it, so hopefully that gets fixed in an update. Like other OLED screens, it does have a glossy finish. Personally, I prefer a matte finish so distracting reflections don't show up, as you can't always control the environment that you're using your laptop in when on the go, which, is kind of the whole point of having a portable machine. Now, MSI isn't the only company using this new 1440p 240Hz OLED screen. Razer are also using it in their Razer Blade 15, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing it appearing in other gaming laptops too. Unlike the Blade though, something that sets the GE67HX apart is that HX on the end of its name. Basically, this refers to Intel's new HX processors for laptops, which go right up to 16 cores and 24 threads, which is the same as their top-end desktop 12900K chip. Crazy stuff. This is kind of an insane amount of power to have in a portable form factor. But let's be real, unless you're doing heavy multi-core work, you probably don't need this CPU. The 14-core 20-thread H-series chips from Intel are honestly probably plenty for most people. I doubt you'd be able to notice the difference in day-to-day use, unless you're doing heavy CPU rendering workloads or something where you're actually using all cores, and time is money. And those 14-core H-series chips are already quite a bit ahead compared to what AMD has to offer this year. The GE67HX had the best CPU performance when you unplug the charger and run on battery power, so there's good performance available when you're on the go, as well as plugged in. Battery life was fine at around 5 hours in my YouTube playback test, but not as amazing compared to some of those AMD laptops that are able to last for more than twice as long with smaller sized batteries. Basically, Intel is generally better when it comes to CPU performance, while AMD has the edge when it comes to battery life. AMD also usually does better in terms of performance when running on battery, but as we saw in the case of the GE67HX, that wasn't the case here, and Intel was actually doing better in that regard. Gaming performance was quite good here too. The RTX 3070 Ti graphics runs at the maximum 150 watt power limit specified by Nvidia, and it stays at that level whether or not the CPU is also under load, which results in better gaming performance compared to most other 3070 Ti laptops. MSI's cheaper GP66 also does this too though, so if you don't need the extra features, that could be a good way to save some money. The main differences between that cheaper GP66 and this more expensive GE67 are that the GP66 uses DDR4 memory. This one uses DDR5. The GE of course has that OLED screen and that higher tier 16-core HX processor, but perhaps most importantly of all, it's got that RGB bar on the front, so you just know it's gonna perform better. Even with all this power, the GE67 wasn't running hot. In a combined CPU and GPU stress test, the temperatures are what I'd consider to be quite cold considering the high power limits and good performance. Gaming performance is further boosted by it having a mux switch, but there's no advanced Optimus, so you need to reboot to swap. Unfortunately, the high performance requires a fairly big 330 watt charger, which reduces portability. And there's no Type-C charging, so it's your only option. version. Other complaints include the key brightness being dim compared to other laptops, even when maxed out. And for whatever reason, I could never get the microphones to work. Oh, and the screen was also all washed out and just looked pretty bad after our first round of Windows updates. It was really obvious that something was wrong. Trust me, you'd notice it if it's happening on yours. Long story short, it was only happening with Optimus enabled, and it's some sort of conflict with the latest Intel graphics drivers and MSI's TrueColor software. But unfortunately, it's not as simple as just closing MSI's TrueColor software. First, I had to uninstall the Intel graphics drivers, uninstall MSI TrueColor, reinstall the Intel graphics drivers, the latest from Intel's website, then reinstall MSI TrueColor, and that fixed the problem. MSI now has a dedicated FAQ page on their site about it, but hopefully by the time you're watching this, it's been fixed in an update and isn't something you'll ever have to deal with. If you've made it this far in, you're probably interested in high-performing gaming laptops, so check out this review next of MSI's GT77 Titan. It's the most powerful gaming laptop I've ever tested so far, or you can see how that most powerful laptop compares against the most powerful desktop PC that I could build in this video instead. So I'll see you over in one of those next.